Well, live from our studio here, number 35, John Hammond Street in Accra. Good evening to you. Welcome to News 360. I'm Noble Crosby.
And I am Portia Gabo. Coming up tonight.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
EcoBank.
In the bulletin this evening, Interior Minister announces mandatory biometric verification for Ghana card identity checks and the new national identification regulations.
And also coming up tonight, ahead of the mid-year budget presentation, minority in Parliament describes as unsustainable measures behind recent government performance.
Tonight, Accra High Court to rule on Thursday, July 23, on an application by lawyers of former NAFCO CEO seeking to strike out charges against Hanan Abdul Wahab.
Later in business news, Bank of Ghana maintains 14% policy rate for second consecutive time, citing temporary inflation pressures and heightened global uncertainty from Middle East conflict.
Before we go tonight, in international news, Liberia records its biggest drug bust as cocaine worth over $370 million is seized near the capital, Monrovia. Welcome to the program. We're live also on all our social media platforms at TV3. Thank you so much for joining us there as we settle for the details.
In our first story, the Minister of the Interior, Muntanka Mohamed Mubarak, has announced that biometric verification is now mandatory for verifying identities using the Ghana card under the National Identification Register Amendment Regulation 2026, also known as LI 2523. The minister says the new regulation is intended to strengthen the national identification system and better protect citizens' personal data.
At a media briefing in Accra, Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak, explained that the new regulation, which came into force on June 9 following parliamentary approval, introduces mandatory biometric verification for Ghana card identity checks. The regulation ends the long-standing practice of relying on visual inspection, photocopies or scanned images of the Ghana card to verify a person's identity.
For too long, identity checks in this country have relied on officer glancing at the card or a business photocopying and filing it away. That practice has real consequences. A photocopy can be altered. A scanned image can be misused or reused without the owner's knowledge or consent. A Ghana card can be presented by someone who is not the rightful owner. Biometric verification closes that gap. It confirms at the point of a transaction that the person standing before you is the person that card belongs to.
The minister warned that organizations that fail to comply risk heavy financial penalties, suspension or termination of access to the National Identification Authority's verification platform. Individuals who misuse Ghana cards or refuse lawful biometric verification may also face fines, imprisonment, or both. Organizations have therefore been given a 3-month transition period from July 27 to November 2, 2026 to install the required systems, train staff, and integrate with the National Identification Authority's identity verification platform.
We are using this opportunity to ask every organization that verifies identity as part of its work, such as the banks, telecommunications companies, insurers, hospitals, schools, government agencies, and others to begin or complete the process to be onboarded onto the National Identification Authority Identity Verification System platform without delay.
He also advised Ghanaians not to allow organizations to photocopy or scan their Ghana cards where biometric verification is required.
Now to matters on public accountability. Pressure is mounting on the National Service Personnel Association, NASPA, to refund monies deducted from service personnel for a capacity building program. This follows NASPA's suspension of its 12.6 million cedis contract with Zeus Atlas Limited amid widespread concerns.
A 4.2 million Ghana cedis deduction from service personnel to fund employability training sparked outrage. Courses ranged from IT and digital marketing to project management and study abroad facilitation. The program, designed to cost 180 Ghana cedis, 15 Ghana cedis monthly, NASPA processed a one-time 60 Ghana cedis lump deduction without broad consent, triggering backlash. Personnel questioned why deductions were made from already meager allowances. One affected service member expressed shock at the deduction notification, insisting partial payment would be fair.
You know, everyone don't want his or her money to be deducted. So when I noticed it has been deducted by 60%, 60 Ghana cedis, sorry, I was like, wow. But I took it cool. The fund needs to be, if not fully, it should be partially refunded to the NSPs. To at least to keep them calm, because I'm very sure most of them are uncomfortable as we speak now. So if it should be refunded partially, even not fully, I think it's the best.
Another personnel said she benefited from the 10-week training. However, funds should be refunded to those who did not benefit.
I knew they were going to deduct money from my account because I registered for that. The message came with a link. Yeah, so when you visit the link, you get to see if you want to enroll. I felt bad. For me, I don't think I want to be refunded because I benefited from it. If there's going to be any refund, I think they should refund to those that didn't register for the program.
NASPA says further deliberations will determine whether deducted funds will be refunded.
Let's now go to Parliament, where the minority has challenged the government's economic growth trajectory, arguing that recent growth figures are largely driven by unsustainable measures, including reduced capital expenditure. Ranking member on Parliament's Economy and Development Committee, Kojo Nkrumah, made the remarks at a news conference ahead of the mid-year budget review presentation.
The ranking member on Parliament Economic and Finance Committee, Kojo Nkrumah, says government must provide reasonable explanations and a sustainability roadmap, questioning the reported 6.4% first quarter growth figures.
Confirms as a pattern. Now, the government's own data, through what the Bank of Ghana has just released ahead of the MPC, shows that first quarter spending is about 62 billion against a target of 78 billion. That is 21.2% below target. Capital expenditure is 41% below target. This is a government that says that its focus is a big infrastructure project out of which it will create 800,000 jobs. And they are 41.9% below target on capital expenditure. Goods and services, 35% below target. Grants to health, education, and the districts is about 19% below target.
The minority in Parliament is making key demands ahead of the mid-year budget review presentation by the Finance Minister on Thursday.
We think that Thursday's presentation must disclose a few things with numbers and not just assurances. First, the actual half-year execution line by line against allotment. Second, a full decomposition of the primary surplus, structural revenue, gold windfall, expenditure compression, valuation effects, and one-offs. Third, one reconciled debt to GDP figure and the methodology they are using for it. Fourth, a current audited arrears stock with a credible payment schedule tied to actual allocations. Number 5, verified payroll employment for the Big Push and the 24-hour economy program, and project-level Big Push procurement disclosure. Number 6, the true loss figure and the resolution plan for the Bank of Ghana.
Well, traders are also setting the expectations. Some of them at the Neiman market, they say they're looking forward to a review that will culminate in job creation and a stable city.
For the market woman who is under her shed in this market, as well as the church driver finding passengers to fill his bus, the budgets, the reading of the media budget review is as important as ever. Because see, if government policies leads to a stable city, it means buying from wholesalers for these market women become easier. And for that church driver, it also means that a reduction in fuel prices is good news. Let's engage some of them in this market and find out what their views are.
The
stability of the city is most important to us because almost everything we sell here is imported.
Dollar no kanoa akaso akosoro. Isi a omo mfamba bi nti kakra na omo de ban no ekwatwe.
The foreign exchange is always an issue. If it can come down a bit, we will appreciate it because we import from Dubai, Niger and Togo, and sometimes we have to change a lot of cedis for that.
Some of these traders also tell me that government must increase investment in its much talked about big push agenda for proper roads because it also impacts their business.
Area baby equina sacra.
I'm looking forward to the minister saying that the big push will continue for more roads to be constructed because it always impacts on transport fares and how much we sell.
Some of these market women also talk about an increase in social interventions, especially job creation.
On create more jobs.
We plead with the minister to announce measures that will lead to job creation for our children.
So the media budget review may sound like an exercise or a document for economists, but I tell you, it affects every aspect of life. From the Nima market here in Accra, Grace Hamuajiman, TV3 News.
And few months after the country's exit from the IMF bailout program, the finance minister is expected to present the mid-year review of the 2026 budget and outline government priorities for the remaining half of the year. As anticipation builds, MPs have already shared varying ratings of government performance so far, with hope for relief from economic pressures. Christian Yali reports.
Administration is due for scrutiny as the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen, presents the 2026 mid-year fiscal review on Thursday. From creating jobs to implementing flagship programs like the Women's Bank, the 24-hour economy, the big push to tackling galamsey and floods, as well as improving education and other sectorial policies, Ghanaians expect a status update on what the NDC government has done in the last 6 months. The minority says enough funds have been approved already. They do not expect the minister to request a supplementary budget.
If the finance minister comes here to this house tomorrow, we will be observing and be monitoring every line of his statement or his budget. And we beg him, he should not come and ask of any money because we will not give him any money because the money that we have given. Mr. Speaker, yesterday we approved about $1 billion. $1 billion as a loan to the minister.
The Tolon MP listed projects he considers have not been realized despite the paperwork.
The jobs that they promised Ghanaian youth, including NDC youth, is only on paper. The 24-hour economy, Yamutu. The Women's Bank, Yamutu. 133, Yamutu. Paying contractors, Yamutu. And every bit of the promise that you have done, Ghanaians are expecting that the media budget tomorrow should be able to address that.
For the majority, one striking gain is a debt to GDP ratio, which has dropped to 44%. One they say requires commendation. Vice Chair of the Finance Committee, Richard Echampon, says the records show the NDC has performed creditably well.
Many of our friends are turning to be prophets of doom. Things that have not happened is what they are talking about. We left a loan portfolio of 120 billion. By the end of the 8-year term, you move it to 748 billion Ghana cedis. Debt to GDP ratio moved to over 100%. When you were living, it was around 61%. And now it's 44.7%. Mr. Speaker, it's about economic discipline.
Figures, progress and disagreement, these have already come up and are expected to take center stage as the minister delivers this crucial constitutional responsibility. But for Ghanaians and many, the living conditions would always expose the realities. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Parliament.
Away from the economy and into the classroom, the Ministry of Education has approved a revised national curriculum that makes the teaching of Ghanaian languages compulsory from kindergarten to primary 3 and introduces Chinese as an additional language to be taught in schools. The government says the policy is aimed at improving pupils' understanding of lessons, boosting literacy and enhancing critical thinking at the foundational level.
For decades, education stakeholders have debated the language of instruction at Ghana's basic education level. The differing views have continued to shape discussions on education policy and curriculum development. Following stakeholder engagements, the Ministry of Education tasked the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment (NACA) to review the basic school curriculum to better respond to the country's educational needs. The review has now been completed, introducing several reforms, including the compulsory use of Ghanaian languages as the medium of instruction from kindergarten to primary 3. The revised curriculum also recommends the introduction of additional foreign languages, including Chinese and French, to broaden students' global competency. The Director General of NACA, Professor Samuel Bequin, says the review is intended to strengthen foundational learning and prepare pupils for a more competitive global environment.
It came out clearly that now Ghana's major trading partner is China. And so we felt that if we are to give opportunity, it's not compulsory but an option for people who want to learn Chinese.
Receiving the revised curriculum, Minister of Education Haruna Idrisu reaffirmed the government's commitment to improving learning outcomes through mother tongue instruction in the early years of education.
English remains Ghana's official language of medium of instruction, but at the basic kindergarten to primary 3, our emphasis will be on the use of the local language. Early oral exposure to these foreign languages can be helpful to Ghanaian learners.
The Education Minister has directed the Ghana Education Service to ensure the revised curriculum is adopted.
The GES is given 1 week from today to review and bring the curriculum up to full implementation readiness and strict quality standards. This to ensure that the GES as an operational agency takes ownership early to guarantee smooth execution in the classroom.
Have you learned Chinese as an additional language
Well,
yet?
maybe I will start doing that. But
Okay.
I'm very conversant with my local language.
Okay, so let's move on to the next story then.
Other stories, whatever.
All right. Let's now go to the court where the Accra High Court has set Thursday, July 23, to rule on an application by lawyers of the former NAFCO CEO seeking to strike out charges against Hanan Abdul Wahab Aludiba. Godfred Yeboah-Dame, lead counsel for the ex-NAFCO CEO, argued that the charges are fundamentally defective, noting that they are duplicitous and ambiguous. Lord Edoasari reports.
In court on Wednesday, July 22, lead counsel Godfred Yeboah-Dame moved the application seeking the charge sheet to be struck out. Dame argued that the charges failed to satisfy the mandatory requirements of Ghana's Criminal Procedure Code, noting that it does not outline sufficient particulars of the alleged offences, making it impossible for his client to understand the precise case against him and adequately prepare his defence. The former Attorney General based his arguments on 3 grounds, urging the courts to take notice and dismiss the charges against the former National Food and Buffer Stock Company Limited CEO. But the prosecution led by Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Remsai opposed the application. He argued that the prosecution provided particulars which were sufficient to the charges preferred against Hanan Aludiba. Dr. Justice Remsai argued that the prosecution provided particulars which were sufficient to the charges preferred against Hanan Aludiba. The Deputy Attorney General maintained that the accused person had been adequately supplied with reasonable information regarding the charge sheet and hence gave no room to ambiguity. Dr. Justice Remsai therefore urged the court to dismiss the application by the defense counsel. After listening to the arguments from both sides, Presiding Judge Francis Aponga Achibonga adjourned the case to Thursday, July 23rd for ruling. Hanan Abdul Wahab Aludiba and his wife, Faiza Seiduwuni, have been charged with multiple offences including stealing, causing financial loss to the state, and money laundering. Lodi Dasari, TV3 News, Accra.
And in another case before the High Court, Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Mfiboisiako, also known as Chairman Wontumi, was brought before the Accra High Court 48 hours after his conviction in the Samaboy illegal mining case to continue a separate case where he has been charged together with Akontam Mining for engaging in illegal mining in the Tamno Nimri Forest Reserve. Chairman Wontumi arrived in court flanked by armed prison officers. He has been charged together with Akontam Mining, Kwame Entry and Thomas Entry Boisiako. The accused are facing charges of illegal mining allegedly carried out within the Tamno Nimri Forest Reserve in the Western region. When the case was called, the presiding judge indicated that lead counsel for Wontumi, Andy Apiakubi, had submitted a letter noting his absence and hence had to adjourn the case. Justice Ruby Aite then set the next hearing date for July 31 to continue the cross-examination of the prosecution's second witness. The embattled politician, clad in a neatly tagged white long-sleeved shirt and black trousers, was then escorted out of the courtroom through a rear entrance in an apparent move to avoid public attention.
In more news tonight, the chairperson of the African Union Commission has condemned in no uncertain terms the xenophobic attacks on African citizens in South Africa, describing it as terrible. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, at a bilateral meeting with President John Mahama on the sidelines of the Extraordinary Health Summit of the AU in Accra, says the developments are disturbing and that the AU will take it over, tabling it for the next Heads of State Summits.
The issue of xenophobic attacks on Africans, not only Ghanaians, African citizens from many countries in South Africa, is something that is really a big source of concern for the Commission. I was in South Africa a month ago. I met President Ramaphosa, and I met Minister Lamola. The statement, the official statement, is that we condemn that. We do not support that. And they made it even with me in a press conference with the foreign minister. He said if there are illegal migrants in South Africa, they have to be handled through the proper channels of the law of the country. This is the statements. But at the same time, we see that these people who are harassing, our African fellow citizens, are free to do whatever they want. That's terrible. That's something that sometimes makes us very sad. And sometimes you see people in uniforms just watching what's happening just next to them, and they see and yesterday I was watching the news. A Mozambican lady was destroying her own shop, so that she do not, leave it to these people who are coming to, take it over. She was destroying herself, her shop. She has been working there for 20 years. So the human cost of this situation is terrible. But we will take it over, Your Excellency. We will not keep silent. We talk to our brothers in South Africa to tell them,
It doesn't appear that the South African authorities are responding to the magnitude that one would expect them to do. The persons who are funding these xenophobic attacks are known, and they've been left free to continue to do what they want to do, and so it's become something they are doing with impunity at very
high cost to us. We had to charter planes to go to South Africa to evacuate our citizens. We operated 3 charter flights. As the continental body, AU should take an interest in this issue because it has the potential to wreck everything that we have worked for: African solidarity, African integration, and all that. President Ramaphosa sent a delegation to me yesterday. We met with them, and I explained the reason why it was important for us to discuss it. I mean, sometimes these things happen. We want to sweep them under the carpet. But when we do that, we rather do not cure what the problem is. And so I told them, I said, Ghana, we don't harbor any malice against South Africa. But we're raising it as an issue for discussion to even give South Africa the opportunity to take that platform of the continental body and explain what they're doing to the world about the xenophobic attacks.
Away from that, Game Park Lottery has officially unveiled its flagship consumer promotion, Play, Win, Drive. The nationwide reward campaign, which began on June 5 and ends on August 31, is designed to celebrate customer loyalty, strengthen engagement, and demonstrate the company's commitment to delivering transparent, innovative, and responsible lottery experiences.
Since its launch in 2023, Game Park Limited has emerged as one of Ghana's innovative lottery companies. The company has rewarded over 300,000 winners, including traders and families, through its various lottery offerings. Speaking at the launch, Executive Director of Game Park Lottery, Bibi Bright, emphasized that game can be accessed through multiple digital channels and is drawn 5 times daily.
Available through USSD by dialing *946#, as well as online at gameparkgames.com. Each game is drawn 5 times daily, 9 a.m., 12 noon, 3 p.m., 6 p.m., and 9 p.m., and broadcasted live on Game TV.
Bibi Bright emphasized that the company's commitment to transparency and long-term growth strategy.
One thing that I think Game Park can stand and boast of is our integrity and our fairness when we draw. We are hoping to actually do more of the vehicle promos and something to give back to our community, especially the youth that are looking to go into maybe vehicle businesses or Uber and all those things. And also we are looking to doing some CSR around with our partners, our regulators, and every agency that we work with.
The ultimate winner of the campaign will take home a brand new 2026 Toyota Hilux. The promotion is open to persons aged 18 years and above.
In more news tonight, Transitions Ghana, a funeral service provider in the country, has commissioned its newest branch at Lodesta Heights in Tema through Enterprise Properties Limited. According to management, this translates into more dignified and accessible funeral services for families in Tema and beyond.
Transitions Ghana is a full-service funeral company dedicated to providing comprehensive funeral services in Ghana, with a wide range of funeral products and solutions, spanning pre-funeral services, funeral arrangement and post-funeral activities. Management says the new branch expands the company's service offering. Kwejo Wusu is the Managing Director of Enterprise Properties Limited.
We provide all the real estate services for the group. So for Transitions, when there was a need to expand in Tema, it was my duty as the head of business to then find the ideal location, negotiate the lease terms, come up with a design that will suit the space, make sure that we are able to oversee the construction and deliver a fully functional office as you see today.
Managing Director of Transitions Ghana, Genevieve Cornelius, said the new branch signifies the company's commitment to making its services more accessible.
It's actually another way of we communicating to the beloved people of Tema that Transition is here to serve every family at the most difficult time when people really need a one-stop shop funeral solution provider.
Registrar of the Mortuaries and Funeral Facilities Agency, Francis Enin, said Transitions Ghana is a licensed brand that can be trusted.
They have registered and they have been also licensed. So if
you are a bereaved family and you want to take your body to a facility, you look out for the license and then you look out for the practices where they do their things in accordance with the law, and at the same time they give you comfort.
Well, cloudy conditions will dominate southern Ghana this evening, with a few areas likely to experience light rain or drizzle. Let's get the details in the weather report up next.
The news segment is brought to you by Syntex Tank.
The business news segment is brought to you by MTN. 4 points by Sheraton Accra Airport Hotel.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has maintained its key lending rate at 14%, saying the current policy stance remains appropriate to guide inflation back into its medium-term target band. Speaking at the 131st MPC press briefing in Accra, Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama said the decision gives policymakers time to assess the impact of renewed geopolitical tensions in the Middle East and the rising global oil prices on Ghana's economy.
The unanimous decision marks the second consecutive time the central bank has left the rate unchanged since inflation began edging higher, with the committee saying the current policy stance remains appropriate to steer inflation back into its target band. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, says the MPC agreed to hold the rate while monitoring evolving domestic and global risks.
The July forecast remains broadly unchanged from the previous MPC round, with headline inflation projected to rise gradually into the target band. Potential upward adjustments in utility tariffs, together with escalating geopolitical tensions in the Middle East and the associated increase in crude oil prices. These present upside risks to the inflation outlook. On the downside, continued fiscal consolidation and an appropriately calibrated monetary policy stance. These should help moderate these risks going forward. Now, given these considerations, the committee, the MPC, by a unanimous decision, maintained the monetary policy rate at 14.0%. The committee...
Headline inflation has increased for 3 consecutive months, rising from 3.2% in March to 3.7% in May and 5.3% in June, although it remains below the Bank of Ghana's medium-term target band of 8% plus or minus 2 percentage points. Meanwhile, the governor has announced a crackdown on the practice of spraying banknotes at weddings, funerals, and other social events, describing it as a form of currency abuse that must stop.
Now, GCB Bank PLC, backed by a trusted network of pensions trustees, have launched a Tier 3 pension bank loan product. This gives workers with Tier 3 pension savings the opportunity to leverage their retirement contributions to access credit without traditional collateral. Management says it offers eligible salaried and self-employed contributors access to loans of up to 1 million cedis with flexible repayment options.
The GCB Tier 3 pension loan product is a short-term personal loan which is secured by the applicant's Tier 3 contributions or benefit. The loan amount is based on the individual's net salary and capped at not more than 80% of his or her accrued benefits. Executive Head, Retail Banking Department at GCB Bank said the product offers competitive fixed interest rate, fast processing and flexible repayment options.
Where you work, every month there's a certain percentage of your money that are deducted, and there's a Tier 3 which is voluntary. So assuming you've been working for 20 years, whatever you have accumulated, we can give you 80% of that amount. You use it to make an investment today and improve the very future that you are protecting by getting involved in that provident contribution.
He also mentioned that the bank continues to build on innovations to enhance the digital experience of customers.
If you do this through our digital channel, you can get it disbursed in 30 minutes. Read my lips, 30 minutes. It could also be delivered through the banking or in a manual way. What we do is to solution for all category of our customers, but I would recommend the digital mode of delivery to all our customers. All you need to do is to look out for the GCB loan QR, scan it, and you are in the money.
The bank says the launch of the new product reinforces its commitment to developing innovative financial solutions to support customers at different stages of their financial journey.
Samsung Electronics has unveiled its most comprehensive Galaxy Z Fold foldable smartphones lineup to date, introducing the Galaxy Z Fold 8, Galaxy Z Fold 8 Ultra, and Galaxy Z Fold Z Flip 8. The company seeks to broaden the appeal of foldable devices with enhanced artificial intelligence, improved productivity, and more immersive mobile experiences.
The new Galaxy Z series offers 3 distinct foldable experiences tailored to different user needs, from high-performance productivity and content creation to entertainment, self-expression, and everyday convenience. Samsung Ghana's lead for corporate marketing and online business, Tracy Che, highlighted the new devices and some of their key features.
What makes it outstanding is we're introducing a new form factor, which we believe will become the standard form factor when people talk about foldable devices. So Fold 7 was the lightest device. Flip 7 was also one of the lightest devices we have. It was even lighter than our S series. So you can imagine how light it is. Now this year, it's even lighter.
Samsung Ghana's head of retail operations, Michael Kwada-Dekujo, also noted that the new technology makes multitasking more seamless.
At Samsung, when we talk about AI, we are talking about how to make everyday tasks simpler, faster, to give us more time to do other things. Now, with the agentic AI on our devices, you can just talk to your device through Bixby, set an alarm for me at 8 o'clock p.m., to sleep or whatever it is you want to do, and it does it for you. So you have less interaction with the device, less in physical interaction. You just speak to the device and it does what you want it to do for you.
The Galaxy Z Fold 8 Ultra, Galaxy Z Fold 8, and Galaxy Z Flip 8 are available for pre-orders in selected markets from July 22-26. The devices come in a range of color options, including graphite and cream, with additional online exclusive finishes.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Let's bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market.
Command respect.
You haven't even checked the price.
Real men check quality first. Fear comes later.
Card, please. Wait.
What again?
Check.
It was a schedule that included training, but also making time for her schedule at Stanford University. The 19-year-old is a first-year international relations student at the Ivy League school, in addition to her burgeoning football career.
Education, I think, certainly getting my degree, and that's always been the first aim above all else, is education first, and so that's why I'm in school now. And then with football, I think that obviously I want to play at the highest level. I think it would be a dream to play in a Champions League match, and I also think that, playing in a World Cup, obviously we're aiming to qualify here for the Under-20 World Cup, and I've been fortunate to play in one of those before as well. But a Senior World Cup and an Olympics would be also incredible.
Tay's story is familiar for many sports women. Michelle Aluzi, a 2024 WAFCON champion and player for Chicago Stars FC, successfully combined her football career with her role as a cancer research technician. World 200 meters champion Gabby Thomas is a highly educated American track and field star holding a bachelor's degree from Harvard University in 2019 in neurobiology and global health, and a master's degree in public health epidemiology from the University of Texas Science Center at Houston in 2022. She excels in athletics and academics, focusing on health equity. These stories provide great inspiration for Tay.
Where I go to school in the United States, maybe to explain a bit, I go to Stanford, which is in California, and in the US they have like 3 tiers of sport, I guess. So you could maybe compare it to, like, you have the Premier League in the UK, and then you have like the Championship is the next level, and then I think you have like League One or whatever. So like in the US, Division 1 would be like the top, and then you go Division 2, Division 3. So where I'm at Stanford, we're a Division 1 team, and so we play in the NCAA, which is like a collegiate association, so we play against other Division 1 schools. And so I'm fortunate enough, I think my team, right now we're a bit smaller because of season, but usually we'll have about 28 people on the team. So I've got 27 other girls around me, and we're all extremely, driven and studying at one of the best institutions in the world, and also playing soccer at the highest level, playing football at the highest level. And so I think that is certainly an example to me every day.
Born to a Ghanaian mother, Emefa is grateful to have the opportunity to represent her motherland and hope she has a long international career.
I am very fortunate, as always, to be called in with the under-20s. I was fortunate to have an opportunity with the Queens, with the senior team back in February, March in Dubai, which was a bit of a crazy time. But yeah, I'm always grateful to be here and to compete in my country. It's a special moment, obviously, to make your senior debut. I think once you step on the pitch, it's kind of like, and everyone says this, but it really does feel like another match. But it's a moment that you kind of have to take in and just recognize that there have been so many people that have supported you to getting to that point, and so I'm grateful for all of those people, and hoping to continue to push for more there. So.
In a world where women are breaking frontiers, Emefa Tay Alexander is on her way to be establishing herself as one of the elite female footballers and a scholar in her academic field.
Well, that's your sport. We're back with more stories before we take leave of you on News 360 after this break. Don't go away.
Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil. Powered by 3 Entertainment.
Tonight in this segment, award-winning Ghanaian Afro dancehall artist Stonebwoy has revealed that he is working on a full reggae album, marking what will be his first dedicated reggae project in nearly a decade. The Burniton Music Group boss disclosed that the highly anticipated project is expected to be released next year.
So reggae is absolutely something that I believe I'm blessed with. Actually working on my reggae album right now. I'm working on a full reggae album for next year.
At a time when dancehall music continues to enjoy growing popularity in Ghana, Stonebwoy explained why he remains deeply committed to reggae. According to him, reggae is more than a genre. It is part of his identity and purpose as an artist.
The last time I released a body of work as reggae was 9 years ago. On episodes of Mama. Next year is going to be the 10th year. So things are just falling in line. I've had some of the fans say, bro, we need a reggae album, we need a reggae album. Not knowing that even I want to drop a solid reggae album anyway.
Stonebwoy also noted that his decision to return to a full reggae project was influenced by reflection on his artistic journey and long-term purpose.
And then this year, when we read the ecosystem, we realize that, we are not getting any younger as well. That's one. And then the foundation of, my purpose would not change irrespective. You'd have to know how to commercialize as an artist, but also stay true to the messaging. So I believe that I would not sway from the messaging.
Stonebwoy's latest reggae-focused body of work, Episodes of Mama, was released on December 12, 2017. The critically acclaimed project blended reggae with Afro dancehall influences and remains one of the defining albums of his career.
Give me food, give me clothes, give me love, and give me shelter.
In international news tonight, a huge quantity of cocaine has been seized during a raid on a suspected illegal storage facility near Liberia's capital, Monrovia. Authorities say it is the biggest drug bust in the country's history. Videos and photos released by police showed dozens of sealed suitcases and boxes inside a lorry that investigators believed contained high-grade cocaine. Police Chief Gregory Coleman said that forensic tests had confirmed the substance was cocaine with an estimated street value of more than $370 million.
Well, that's it for News 360. Thank you so much for your time. I am Portia Gabo.
There's more news on our website, 3news.com. I am Noble Crosby Annan.